Dariel is a worthless demon soldier who gets kicked out because of just how weak he is. While his superiors confront him, they don't hold back, saying he's so pathetic he can't even cast basic magic spells. He's the only one among his colleagues who can't use magic, so his bosses threaten to incinerate him on the spot if he doesn't leave. Realizing it's truly over for him, Dariel accepts his fate, bids them farewell, and leaves the castle immediately. Now, as a jobless 32 years old, Dariel wonders what he's going to do with the rest of his miserable life, since he's done nothing but serve in the demon army his entire life. Figuring out a new way to live won't be easy. For the next few days, he wanders through the forest, starving and weak. Eventually, he collapses on his back, staring at the sky, admitting to himself that he'll probably die before he ever starts a new life. But then things take a turn. Out of nowhere, a hot girl appears only to be getting attacked by an enraged monkey. Right before she gets crushed, Dariel throws himself into the fight, muttering that even if he's a powerless loser, it's his duty as a soldier to protect a lady. He reasons that any proper demon with magic could defeat the monkey instantly, but since he can't use simple magic, he'll have to fight it the old-fashioned way. Dariel charges, but hunger makes his body weak, and he staggers clumsily right in front of the beast. The monkey then smashes him aside like a ragdoll. While lying on the ground, Dariel spots a pocket knife. As a demon soldier, using a human weapon was considered disgraceful, but since that life is behind him, he decides to use it anyway. But judging by his questionable stances, it's clear he slept through his swordsmanship lessons. The monkey lunges again, but with perfect timing, Dariel drives the knife into its chest, killing it. Looking down at the beast, he admits he just copied a move he once saw a hero use, never expecting it to actually work so well. With the monkey defeated, the girl bows repeatedly in gratitude. Dariel wants nothing to do with human drama, so he tries to walk away, but the girl clings to him, strangling him with her bag as she insists he can't just leave. She has to thank him properly. He resists until she offers him food. That's all it takes. Dariel agrees, so she drags him across the ground all the way back to her home. There, Dariel meets her parents, and the girl introduces herself as Malika. Sitting in her house, Dariel instantly regrets coming. He's now in a human village, and if anyone realizes he's a demon, they'll skin him alive. He decides he'll have to be extremely cautious. Malika asks why he was in the forest in the first place. Dariel already saw that question coming, and since he's such a good liar, he already knows what to say. He lies, telling her that his former boss's son fired him after taking over the family business. The only part he doesn't lie about is him being homeless, which is why he was wandering through the forest. Malika suddenly interrupts, insisting that can't be the whole truth. Dariel panics for a second, thinking she's seen through him, but then realizes she's crying. She says it's unfair he was fired, especially since he risked his life to save a complete stranger like her. Getting carried away, Malika begs him to live in the village, pointing out they have plenty of empty rooms. Dariel politely declines, saying just the meal would be enough. But Malika doesn't give up. She even asks her parents, who happily agree, saying anyone strong enough to protect their daughter is welcome. Malika clings to Dariel, begging him to stay, since he's a homeless freeloader. It's not like he has anywhere else to go. Still, Dariel worries if they ever find out he's a demon, he's dead. He agrees to stay, which delights her. That night, lying in bed, Dariel admits it's actually kind of nice. Back in the demon army, he always had to share rooms, but now he finally has one of his own. Malika knocks on his door and, from the other side, thanks him again for saving her. She admits she's always been the one people relied on, so having someone protect her for once felt good. Nervously, she wishes him good night. The next morning at breakfast, Malika's father, Gilmas, reveals he's the guild master of the village and wants Dariel to become an adventurer. He explains adventurers take on jobs like defeating powerful monsters and demons. Dariel tries to change the subject, saying he'd rather do field work or gather herbs, but Gilmas scoffs, saying a man with his build could never waste himself on simple chores. To Dariel's horror, he pulls out the guild registration ritual scroll. Dariel has heard rumors about this ritual. Only humans can complete it. Spies who failed ended up in bandages. Terrified, he fakes back pain from the monkey fight to buy time, but Malika pricks his finger with a needle anyway and presses his hand onto the scroll. Dariel braces for disaster, but to his shock, the registration succeeds without any issue. That's when he realizes the truth. He isn't a demon at all. He's been human this whole time. The next day, Malika's father takes Dariel to a field to train him as a proper adventurer. He starts by teaching him about aura, the life force everyone is born with that adventurers channel into their weapons. Dariel picks up a sword, remembering the days he used to train with Lord Bashbarza. Taking his stance, he surprises everyone as aura flows naturally through him. Next, Gilmaz explains the 4 combat types: slash, sting, hit, and protect. Adventurers usually excel in one. To test slash, Dariel is told to cut through a log. He hesitates, never having used a human sword before. He then charges forward, slicing the log clean in half. Everyone, including Dariel, is stunned. He tries the others' combat types too, with a bow and arrow for sting, a hammer for hit, and a shield for protection. He sets records in every category. Gilmaz breaks down crying, realizing his 30 years of adventuring are worthless compared to Dariel. Malika celebrates by shoving Dariel's face into her chest. At the end of training, Gilmaz reveals Dariel is a rare adventurer who possesses all 4 combat types. He's destined to make the world better. Out of pride, he suggests Dariel join the prestigious Center Guild, even offering to write him a recommendation. But hearing this makes Malika sad. If Dariel leaves, he'll be gone from their village. Dariel thinks carefully before deciding. He chooses to stay. He reminds Malika's father that they gave him a home when he had nothing, so he wants to repay that kindness by staying. Malika is overjoyed, rewarding him with another round of chest to the face. Later that day, Dariel visits the Adventurer Guild and meets the others. That's when an annoying brat pipes up, asking why an old geezer like him is even here. The brat, named Gashida, demands to know Dariel's rank. Nervously, Dariel checks his adventurer data and admits he's an E rank. Gashida bursts out laughing, mocking him for being the lowest. He proudly shows off his own D rank and orders Dariel to respect his superiors. Malika apologizes for Gashida's behavior, explaining he's the only adventurer from the village, which is why he's so arrogant. Later, Gilmaz gives Dariel his first assignment: gather medicinal herbs. The request pile is huge because Gashida refused to do them. Dariel accepts anyway, but Gilmaz warns him to be careful. A dangerous monster has been spotted nearby, one Gashida failed to defeat. When Gilmaz shows Dariel the sketch, Dariel nearly chokes. It's the exact same monster he already killed when he first met Malika. And just like that, his first adventurer job was complete before he even knew it. Gashida gets pissed when he hears Dariel defeated the monkey beast that he couldn't beat. Gashida takes on an adventurer request to exterminate a monster, determined to prove he's more useful than some washed-up old geezer. Meanwhile, Gilmaz promotes Dariel to D rank since he single-handedly defeated the beast and protected the village. Right then, Malika steps out, announcing she's ready to follow Dariel on his quest. Dariel tries to tell her she doesn't need to tag along every time, but Malika insists someone has to show him around. Hearing that, Dariel blushes, realizing how cute she actually is. As they travel together, Malika opens up, telling him she once dreamed of becoming an adventurer too. She just wanted to help the village however she could. Dariel listens and wonders if that's why he first met her in the forest. Malika confirms it on that day. She had gone into the forest to gather medicinal herbs for an old lady with a cold. Since Gashida refused to go, she had no choice but to do it herself. Even so, Dariel repeats that she doesn't need to trouble herself by accompanying him, but Malika brushes it off. She says it's her way of repaying him for saving her. At one point, Malika suddenly suggests they hold hands so they don't get separated. Dariel doesn't object, so the two continue their journey hand in hand. Soon after, they begin gathering herbs, watching her work. Dariel is impressed. Malika is surprisingly skilled at identifying plants. Not only that, but she casually picks up an entire tree log with freakish strength. Dariel thinks to himself that she is the guild master's daughter after all. Curious, he asks why someone so strong couldn't handle the monkey beast herself. Malika admits it's not about strength. She's simply terrified of fighting. That's why Dariel, her savior, means so much to her. Then Malika asks him for a favor. With puppy dog eyes, she pleads that he start calling her by her first name, without any polite titles. Dariel hesitates, but eventually says her name. Malika gets so happy she squeezes him in a bone-crushing hug, nearly suffocating. Dariel quickly points and shouts, drawing her attention to a deer. At first, the deer looks innocent, but then its eyes turn sinister as it picks a fight with a nearby monster. Dariel and Malika use the chaos to hunt both the deer and the monster, dragging them back to the village. Everyone cheers for Dariel's success, everyone except Gashida, who fumes over being overshadowed. Storming off, he swears he'll become a better adventurer. Several days later, Dariel Dariel has gotten used to village life. It's peaceful, fun, and filled with hot girls. The only downside is that Gashida's hatred hasn't cooled at all, even though Dariel never did anything to him. One day, Dariel returns from a quest and is greeted by Malika, who made him a meal. But he brushes past her to report to Gilmaz that his duties are done for the day. Gilmaz admits he's been stressed because Gashida has been acting out ever since Dariel started defeating all the monsters he wanted to hunt. Malika defends Dariel, clinging to his arm and saying he hasn't done anything wrong. But Gilmaz says there's a bigger problem. The guild received notice of a dangerous monster, the Blaze Death Scythe. The request is for C-rank adventurers and above only. It wasn't issued directly to their guild, but to the neighboring one, with instructions for others to stay alert. Dariel raises a concern that if it's that dangerous, wouldn't it be bad if Gashida, a D-rank, tries to fight it? Gilmaz says not to worry. The other guild has already formed a big party. But Malika suddenly asks if Gashida barging into that guild's territory would cause trouble for her father as guild master. That's when Gilmaz realizes he may have messed up. Dariel volunteers to bring Gashida back. Malika insists on coming, but Dariel declines. Instead, she gives him medicine for the road. On his journey, Dariel is shocked to find the forest torn apart. Suddenly, Gashida comes running toward him, followed by the terrifying Blaze Death Scythe. Dariel immediately draws his sword, knowing this fight is life or death, but the monster ignores him. Lunging straight for Gashida, Gashida fires an arrow, but it barely scratches the beast just before he's torn apart. Dariel leaps in and slashes the monster's head, dealing some damage. The Death Scythe retaliates, shattering Dariel's sword into pieces. As steel shards scatter, Dariel quickly combines two techniques. He grabs a shard, fills it with aura, and hurls it into the monster's mouth. The shard bursts out the other side, killing it instantly. Rain begins to fall as the monster collapses. Gashida, stunned, can't believe what he just witnessed. Dariel tends to his wounds, assuring him he won't die from the venom because Malika gave him anti-venom beforehand. Once he's patched up, Dariel collapses in exhaustion, relieved they survived. The next morning, at breakfast, Gashida shows up acting strangely polite. Shockingly, he calls Dariel Big Bro. Gilmaz is stunned. Gashida explains that after yesterday, he owes Dariel his life and wants to heal quickly so he can work under him. Malika chases him away, while Dariel wonders how his life has turned upside down. Not long ago, he was a failure cast out of the demon army, yet now he's considered strong and even has a cute girl by his side. Meanwhile, in the demon army, things aren't going well. Zebian gets chewed out by the other generals for her mistakes. To save herself, she blames the innocent assistant, who immediately gets fired by Bashbarza. The generals complain they're sick of incompetent assistants. They've already gone through 6 or 7 replacements. Droy suggests they rehire Dariel, saying they only realized how valuable he was after he left. Bashbarza explodes in rage at the idea, flames erupting around him as he roars. He'll never allow Dariel to return. Gashida has officially turned into Dariel's biggest fanboy. Ever since Dariel saved him from that monster, he's been kissing up to him non-stop. Dariel admits it's better than being his enemy, but honestly, it's still pretty annoying. On top of that, things with Malika keep escalating day by day, which is another headache to handle. Still, life in the village is peaceful, though Dariel can't shake the feeling that the village is hiding something. That night, he decides to confront Gilmaz about it. He asks why so many houses in the village are empty. To explain properly, Gilmaz says he'll need his map. He calls Malika to fetch it, but she doesn't respond. Dariel volunteers to check on her. He walks down the corridor and finds her sitting on the floor, pouting. When he asks what's wrong, Malika admits she's upset because she can't control herself around him and keeps putting him in danger. Dariel reassures her that it's not a big deal, likely unintentional. Perking up, Malika happily grabs the map for her father. Gilmaz spreads the map on the table and explains the village has so many empty houses because what remains now is only the shadow of a once thriving place. Beyond the village lies the mithil mine. Mithil is a rare metal with mysterious properties. Weapons made from it are incredibly strong, and even more importantly, it can be crafted into equipment that stores magical energy. Because demons highly value mithil, a war broke out between humans and demons over the mine. But when Gilmaz was a child, the demons seized control. The villagers tried countless times to reclaim it, but after failing again and again, they gave up. Since then, the village has been slowly dying out. Later that night, lying in bed, Dariel reflects. The mithil mine was the very place he used to work when he was part part of the demon army. It's been a long time since he was there, so he decides he'll pay it a visit. The next day, Dariel arrives at the mine. He figures that if he can negotiate and secure some mithil, it would be a huge benefit to Luck's village. But since he's no longer a demon army officer, there's always the risk of being caught. To avoid that, he puts on a disguise and sneaks in. To his surprise, the place is nearly empty. When he reaches a cliff inside the cave, he looks down to find a group of demon children called knockers. The moment they see him, they recognize him and rush over. They've missed him so much that they line up just to get head pats. The knockers explain that their daily mithil quota has been quadrupled. This infuriates Dariel, so he asks who gave such an impossible order. They reply that it was Lord Bashbarza. Dariel wonders what could have provoked him. The knockers then burst into tears, saying Dariel was the best warden they ever had because he treated them with respect and called them by name. Since he left, they've been forced to live under brutal, harsh conditions, all for the sake of economizing. Dariel feels awful. He no longer has authority over them, but he can't just stand by either. Suddenly, a squad of demon soldiers enters to collect the mined mithil. Dariel hides while the commander scolds the knockers, calling them lazy trash. The knockers try to argue that the quotas are impossible, but the commander fires off a magical warning shot, telling them not to talk back. One knocker finally snaps, leaping up and smacking the commander on the head with a shovel. The rest erupt in protest, saying they can't take this anymore. Dariel realizes things are about to get very ugly. If the soldiers attack, the knockers won't stand a chance. Sure enough, the soldiers prepare to unleash their magic. But before it hits, Dariel steps in, sword drawn. He stands between them and the knockers. Then one of the knockers point that the bandana on Dariel's mouth is actually his underwear. Mortified, Dariel realizes he's a real dumbass, but he keeps it on to hide his identity. The commander sneers, mocking Dariel for needing a human weapon. Dariel tries to reason with him, but the commander orders his men to fight. Dariel has no choice but to battle. Still, he doesn't want to hurt anyone, so he sheathes his blade with a piece of knocker underwear and uses it to knock his opponents down without killing them. One soldier begins chanting a spell, but before he can finish, Dariel already strikes him down. Another knocker tries to join the fight, but gets kicked aside. Dariel notices something. These soldiers are holding back. Instead of killing blows, they're using basic attacks. That means they're capable of reason, so maybe words can reach them. Dariel gives a heartfelt speech, urging them not to fight senselessly. For a moment, it seems to work, until the commander cuts in, ordering them to cast a massive spell together that would wipe out both Dariel and the knockers. The knockers resign themselves to death, but Dariel won't allow it. He unleashes his true power and takes on all 100 soldiers at once. With flawless counters, he shuts down every single attack. By the end, he has the commander at sword point. The commander, terrified, begs for his life. He explains that he was once friends with Lord Bashbarza, and one day Bashbarza entrusted the mine to him. Dariel is stunned by this revelation. The commander expects execution, but instead, Dariel simply trims his hair with his blade and tells him to resign when he returns. The commander gratefully agrees and flees, with the soldiers following behind. The knockers cheer, thanking Dariel and even declaring him their new leader. Back in the village, Gilmaz nearly spits his tea out when Dariel casually tells him he recaptured the mithil mine. Dariel also asks that they protect the knockers. Gilmaz initially refuses, remembering they were once allied with the demons, but after seeing how serious Dariel is, he agrees. The knockers are assigned to work as guides inside the mine, since they know every inch of it. For the first time in years, Luck's village begins to flourish. Construction resumes, the population grows, and Gilmaz thanks Dariel, saying it's all thanks to him. Meanwhile, Malika comes running with a huge lunchbox. She trips, and Dariel rushes to catch her. Malika turns bright red, then pushes Dariel to the ground and hugs him tightly, gushing with joy because he finally called her by her first name. Meanwhile, inside demon headquarters, Zebian walks in and catches Bashbarza having a full-on conversation with his parrot. She stares for a second, then notices a massive magical device sitting in the middle of the room. Curious, she asks about it. Bashbarza proudly explains that this is the result of his latest project, a compressed magic weapon. Using mithil as its main power source, it squeezes magical energy down until it becomes over 100 times stronger than what was originally stored, essentially creating a mega bomb. Zebian notices he's getting a little too carried away during his explanation, but she lets him ramble. Bashbarza continues, boasting that once this mega bomb is completed, did, he'll go down in history as the greatest demon general of all time. Zebian raises an eyebrow and points out that his plan would require a massive amount of mithril. Bashbarza waves her off, saying it's no problem because he already ordered the knockers to deliver 4 times the usual amount. That's when Zebian bursts his bubble. She tells him the mithril mine has just been stolen and is now in human possession. Bashbarza falls to his knees in shock. To make things worse, Zebian adds that the Demon King is furious and wants to see him immediately. A few moments later, Bashbarza kneels before the Demon King, who is clearly displeased that he allowed the mine to be stolen. Without warning, the Demon King activates his demon eye, causing him intense pain with just a glance. He deactivates it and calls Bashbarza a fool for even continuing with the mega bomb project. Terrified, Bashbarza thinks he's about to be executed, but instead, the Demon King simply tells him to apologize. Bashbarza hesitates, then bows his head and mutters an apology. The Demon King calls him a fool again, reminding him he should have kept Dariel around to help, because Bashbarza is obviously too dumb to handle things alone. He even adds that Bashbarza's father was only a successful general because he kept Dariel by his side. Bashbarza's face twists with anger, but he can't do anything. The Demon King dismisses him, ordering him to reflect on his failure. Meanwhile, back in the village, Dariel and Malika are delighted to see everything thriving. Malika takes the chance to shoot her shot, saying that the story of their village is something she'd love to tell their children one day. She nervously starts to ask Dariel out, but before she can finish, Dariel changes the subject, saying he'll be right back. Dariel then notices Gashida in yet another heated argument. He drags him by the ear to the town center and demands to know what's going on this time. Gashida explains that some guys came out of nowhere and started trash talking the adventurers of their village. One of them steps forward, introducing himself as Fitbitin, an adventurer dispatched from Campbell town. He says he heard rumors that this village's adventurers recaptured the mithril mine and came to confirm. When Fitbitin learns it was Dariel, just a D-rank adventurer who pulled it off, he laughs it off, saying Dariel must have gotten lucky. He then arrogantly declares that their guild will be taking charge of the mine from now on, so Dariel's group can go back to their odd jobs. Dariel pushes back, reminding Fitbitin that the Campbelltown Guild was originally tasked with defeating the Death Scythe, and they failed. Gashida jumps in, loudly declaring that Dariel was the one who actually defeated it. The Campbell adventurers are shocked. They immediately hoist Dariel up, celebrating him and even calling him an ranked adventurer. But Fitbitin doesn't look happy about it. Later that night at dinner, Gashida brings up the incident again. He starts to say that Fitbitin and the others were trash talking Dariel at first, but Malika cuts him off, immediately going into assassin mode. She declares that she'll kill anyone who dares mess with her husband. Realizing what she just said, she blushes furiously, panics, and bolts out of the room. Dariel, still clueless as ever, just stares blankly. Gashida, however, jokes that he's the one who's going to marry Dariel. The next day, Mr. Bistfrid arrives from the Central Guild to negotiate with the Knockers, but the Knockers refuse to talk to anyone except Dariel. Bistfrid asks Dariel to act as an intermediary, and he happily agrees. Inside the mine, Dariel explains the terms, and to Bistfrid's shock, the Knockers accept immediately without protest. On his way back, Dariel runs into Fitbitin's group, who claim they're on a bodyguard request and won't let anyone pass. Suddenly, a massive magic circle appears in the sky, calling the Knockers back to the demon army. Dariel hears a familiar voice behind it and leaps over the wall to see who it is. As he runs, he realizes surrounding himself with aura makes him faster. Soon, he comes face to face with his old friend Rizett and a squad of demon soldiers. Rizett doesn't recognize him right away and tries to scare him off with magic, but when he realizes it's Dariel, he rushes in and hugs him. Dariel, for the first time, experiences what a real hug feels like, not the violent hugs Malika has been subjecting him to. Later, when they're alone, Rizett asks Dariel to tell him everything that's happened. Seeing Dariel hesitate, Rizett assumes he's still bitter about how things ended when he was fired. To clear the air, Dariel shows him his guild ID, revealing he was human all along. Rizett is stunned but promises to keep the secret. Rizett explains that things in the Demon Kingdom have been a disaster since Dariel left. There's no one strong enough to approve or deny the Demon King's reckless orders. When Dariel asks what Rizett is doing here. He says he's been tasked with reconciling with the knockers. Then Rizett invites Dariel to return to the demon army, saying even Lord Doroy wants him back, and promising to stay quiet about his human identity. But Dariel refuses, saying he's found a community that values him and he won't abandon them. Rizett, frustrated, traps him in a water sphere, planning to drag him back by force, but Dariel slices through the spell with his sword, declaring he's not going anywhere. He takes Rizett back to the village, where Gilmaz nearly spits out his coffee when Dariel suggests selling some of their mithril to the demons. Dariel argues that humans and demons only fight when one side is desperate, so if both have enough, peace is possible. Dariel proposes this to Bastfrid, who considers it, but Fitbitin explodes in anger and tries to kill Rizett. Dariel stops him, insisting that sharing mithril is the only way to prevent more bloodshed. Bastfrid scolds Fitbitin for his reckless behavior, then turns back to Dariel and Rizett, agreeing to share the mithril. At the end of the day, Rizett thanks Dariel, but Dariel tells him not to worry. He doesn't play favorites whether demons or humans. He just hopes one day they can all live together in harmony. The next day, Dariel is tasked with reviving the village's abandoned mithril workshop, which will be needed for the smith who's coming soon. But when he arrives, he finds Fitbitin already inside. Fitbitin smirks and tells Dariel to go home and cook them dinner instead, because he's already here to handle the workshop revival. With a smug grin, he reminds Dariel that it's against town rules for a lowly D-rank adventurer to interfere with higher-ranked business. Dariel just sighs in defeat and walks away. Back home, Malika storms in to report that some old pervert visiting the village groped her chest. Hearing that, Dariel curses the man to suffer 10,000 deaths, but when he finds the geezer, he's shocked the guy looks like he's actually dead, covered in red all over. Turns out it's just tomatoes. Dariel confronts the old man about touching Malika, but the man brushes it off, not seeing what the big deal is. They weren't even that soft. Then he suddenly shifts and starts roasting Dariel instead, calling him a useless adventurer. That pisses Malika off, so she snaps back, declaring that Dariel is strong, so strong, he even defeated a squad of demon soldiers. The old man freezes, shocked, and quickly measures Dariel's aura. To his disbelief, all 4 of Dariel's combat attributes are maxed out. Immediately, the man introduces himself properly. He's Smith, the legendary mithril smith. They take him back to their house, though everyone still doubts he's the real deal. To prove it, Smith shows them a direct request he received from the Central Guild. Then he asks where the village workshop is. Dariel explains that it's currently under the control of the Campbell town adventurers. Smith scoffs, saying that's nonsense and promises to use his top-tier negotiation skills to fix it. But in reality, he just goes over and begs Fitbitin until Fitbitin finally gives in and lets them use it. Inside the workshop, Smith is hit with waves of nostalgia. Spotting some amateurs wasting valuable mithril, he decides to show off. He demonstrates a refined processing technique, producing a flawless chunk of mithril, then forges it into a sleek mithril sword for Dariel. When Dariel channels aura into it, he immediately feels the difference compared to normal weapons. Excited, he tests it on a tree. With one effortless swing, he slices it clean in half without even feeling resistance. Fitbitin, humbled, begs Smith to take him on as a disciple, but Smith refuses, brushing him off, and instead walks away with Dariel. On the way, Smith suddenly tells Dariel to hand the sword back. Dariel protests, saying he wants to keep it, but Smith snaps at him to shut up. It's not a good fit for him. Smith explains that his lifelong dream has been to create a mithril weapon unlike anything the world has ever seen. Dariel points out that without mithril or a proper workshop, the dream won't go far, but Smith smirks and reveals that he already pocketed some mithril and set up a brand new workstation. Dariel is stunned at how fast he pulled it off. Smith says that the only issue now is his ethanol furnace and it's magic powered, so it won't work without someone channeling magic into it. Hearing that, Dariel goes to ask Rizett for help. Rizett agrees, but warns it'll only be this once. He can't exactly help humans mass produce weapons. Still, he owes Dariel for recapturing the mine, and he wants to see him equipped with a weapon worthy of him. him. Together, they activate the furnace. Smith, meanwhile, demands alcohol to focus. While Dariel goes to fetch some, he runs into Fitbiton, who wants a private word. Fitbiton explains that the Central Guild has been hogging all the profits from the mithril mine, and proposes they join forces to overthrow them. Dariel flatly declines. He has no interest in guild politics. Insulted, Fitbiton throws down a glove, formally challenging him to a duel. When Dariel returns home and explains, everyone urges him to back out. Duels are deadly serious. Losing could mean death, and it still wouldn't count as a crime. But Dariel is stubborn. He declares that he'll accept. Smith pulls him aside and begins training him on how to wield his new mithril weapon. The day of the duel arrives. Fitbiton smugly shows off a flashy mithril weapon he had crafted just for this fight. Then he bursts out laughing when he sees Dariel's weapon is nothing more than a knife. The rules is fight until the opponent can't continue. As the match begins, Dariel launches a warning strike, signaling the battle has started. Fitbiton charges in confidently, but his eyes widen when he realizes Dariel's knife can change shape. Smith explains to the crowd that Dariel's weapon morphs according to the shape of his aura. In one smooth strike, Dariel shatters both Fitbiton's shield and sword. Everyone thinks the fight is over until Fitbiton pulls out a mithril longsword. Unfazed, Dariel morphs his knife into a whip, cracking it forward and destroying the longsword in another swift blow. The battle is decided. Dariel is victorious. The crowd erupts in cheers, and Malika's admiration for him grows even deeper. Later, Mr. Bistfrid arrives, apologizing for Fitbiton's reckless duel challenge. He admits it was unacceptable and asks Dariel what punishment he thinks is fair. Dariel simply requests that Fitbiton repair all the houses damaged during their fight. Once that's settled, Bistfrid reminds Dariel of all the amazing feats he's accomplished since arriving in the village, and formally invites him to join the Central Guild in Campbell Town. Malika, on her way in with drinks, overhears the offer, and she doesn't look happy about it. That night, while soaking in the hot spring, Dariel mulls over whether to accept. Suddenly, he hears someone enter. Assuming it's Gilma's, he realizes that it's Malika. She stares at him, blushing, and says quietly that she wants to have a word with him. She tells Dariel she overheard the guild's offer to him and assumes he'll definitely accept it. Still, she says she's perfectly fine with it and will always support him, no matter where he goes. Hearing this, Dariel calms down. He realizes that Malika has always been that selfless person who keeps smiling no matter what. Looking her straight in the eyes, Dariel tells her he's going to decline the offer because he wants to stay with her and continue living with the people of the village. Besides, he'd miss her cooking too much. Malika tears up with joy, and the two hold hands. She says she's so happy she can still be with him. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, Bashbarza is having dinner with his father. While eating, his dad casually brings up that Bashbarza's success as one of the 4 generals is all thanks to Dariel. He reminds Bashbarza that Dariel was the glue that kept the 4 generals together, and that he once warned him to never let anything happen to Dariel. Then, with a cold glare, he asks how Dariel is doing. Bashbarza panics, stammering that Dariel is fine and still working for the generals, but his dad already knows he's lying. He beats the crap out of him and reveals he's gotten word that Bashbarza fired Dariel. Walking away, he orders Bashbarza to get Dariel back, but Bashbarza refuses. Bursting into flames, he declares he'll prove he doesn't need Dariel to be a successful general, and storms off. The next day, Malika's mother walks in on Dariel and Malika mid-deed. She smirks and says they must be getting along nicely. Later, Malika comes downstairs still glowing with energy, while Dariel is clearly worn out from those backshots. They both act normal so no one suspects anything. Later, while Dariel helps Malika's mother with laundry, she whispers that she hopes he and Malika end up together. Dariel realizes the jig is up, so he starts planning to wife Malika properly. He goes to talk to Gilma's about it, but before he can say anything, Gilma's interrupts with something important. He admits he's growing old and needs someone to succeed him as mayor. That's why he asks Dariel to take the position. Dariel instantly refuses, saying the responsibility is way too big, but Gilma's keeps pushing until Dariel finally agrees. Then Dariel tells him he wants to marry Malika. Malika overhears and is stunned. This is the moment she's always dreamed of. Gilma's gives his blessing, and Malika accepts. She hugs Dariel so tightly it shoves him outside, but he uses his combat skills to flip them into the air. Holding her in his arms, Dariel says they should do their best to be happy together. Just like that, Dariel becomes both Malika's husband and the mayor of Luck's village. A year later, the village looks more prosperous than ever. The only sad thing is the smith has passed away. One day, Dariel comes home to Malika holding their son, Gran. Suddenly, Gashida bursts in, shouting rumors that a hero is coming to their village. The hero is famous for bearing the task of defeating the Demon King, earning the title of the Greater. Dariel recalls seeing this hero back when he was in the demon army, a ruthless warrior who attacked anyone seen as a threat, no matter who they were. He wonders if the hero has found out his location and is here to kill him. Moments later, everyone goes outside to welcome the hero. Dariel covers his face with a cloth to avoid recognition. The carriage door opens, and to everyone's surprise, the hero is actually a girl, so all the rumors were false. Dariel introduces himself, and she introduces herself as Lady, with her comrades Sesha and Satom. Lady explains her predecessor was badly wounded, so she had to succeed him. Hearing this, Dariel removes his cloth, realizing no one here will recognize him. As they tour the village, Lady says they've come to ask questions about mithril weapons. When they reach Dariel's home, Lady and her companions are greeted by Malika holding Gran. Lady is instantly charmed by how cute he is and asks to hold him. The moment she does, Gran buries his face in her chest and even starts playing with them. Watching this, Dariel can't help but think, yep, that's definitely his son. No DNA test needed. The next day, Lady and her comrades meet with Dariel, reminding him that the main reason they came here was to see some mithril weapons. Dariel honors their request and takes them to the workshop. They're all shocked by the number of skilled craftsmen and the incredible weapons being made. Dariel picks up a sword, informing them all that mithril is very different from any other type of material, and what makes it most unique is its amazing performance with aura. He hands Satom the weapon, and at the moment she begins passing her aura through it. A strong surge of energy begins flowing through her body. Lady sees this and is shocked. Lady says she wants a weapon of her own, so Dariel calls over Sakai, the village's best smith. Sakai bows respectfully and says it would be an honor to make her weapon. Dariel explains that before Smith died, he instilled the 48 ways of treating woman right. Sakai begins feeling Lady's hand, and at first, it just looks like a bunch of harassment to her, but Dariel explains that Sakai is capable of predicting or determining a person's aura type just by holding their hand. So then, in the next few moments, Sakai instantly deduces she's a slash-type combat fighter. Lady is stunned he got it right so quickly. Maybe he really is the real deal after all. Then Lady reveals that her party has been searching for a fourth member. The following day, Gilmaz emotionally announces that there will be a tournament to decide who joins them. Lady doesn't like the fact that everyone is being so excited about this because defeated the Demon King isn't a game. Dariel admits she's right, but he also thinks it shows how determined everyone is to defeat the Demon King. As the tournament begins, Gilmaz announces that the method of selection would be a head-to-head battle, pitting the 3 heroes against the 26 adventurers in their village. The 3 heroes fight back-to-back, handicapping themselves by using household items instead of real weapons. Adventurers rush at them, but the heroes wipe them all out instantly. Disappointed, they complain that no one was strong enough to even put up a fight. That's when Gashida, hiding in the bushes, launches a surprise attack. Lady is impressed by his power, but his accuracy is awful. She prepares to use an ultimate attack to finish him, but Dariel senses what she's about to do and stops her with a perfectly aimed apple throw. Afterward, Gashida apologizes to Dariel for still being weak, but Dariel praises him, saying he's improved a lot over the past year. Right after, Lady challenges Dariel to a one-on-one match because she can tell he's far stronger than Gashida. Dariel declines, reminding her that he's retired, but Lady doesn't care. She attacks anyway. Dariel defends himself easily, overpowering her without much effort. Frustrated, Lady gets serious and pulls out her real sword. She then tries a secret move she's only ever seen her predecessor use, but Dariel still doesn't falter. He counters with his own combat technique and completely neutralizes her special attack. Lady is convinced that Dariel is the one they've been searching for all along. She and her comrades ask him to join their party. Dariel just shakes his head and walks away. That night, Dariel is trying to feed Gran with a bottle, but the baby refuses. He only wants it fresh from his mother's breast. Dariel realizes it's been a while since he's gotten some milk himself, so he's about to sneak a sip when Lady and her party suddenly barge in, asking him one more time to join them. Dariel explains that he's a family man now. He can't be out fighting demons and monsters anymore. He once watched his son son grow up as a proper dad should. He can't afford to be putting his life in danger like that. Hearing that, Lady asks Dariel what else is restraining him apart from that, and he replies saying he has taken care of things like repairing the fences and hunting down monsters on the highways. Lady says that those things are nowhere near as important as defeating the Demon King, but Dariel still refuses, saying he's made up his mind already. Lady then storms off, angry, but swears she's not giving up. As Dariel sits on his own, he thinks back to the moment Rizett mentioned that Doroi has been searching for him. Dariel recalls his days in the demon army with just how nice and down-to-earth Doroi was. She was the only general among the others who actually cared about the well-being of the demons, and because of that is why Dariel says he'll never point his sword in the direction of the demon army. The next day, Lady and Sadom spend the entire day trailing Dariel to figure out what he does that could possibly be more important than defeating the Demon King. They follow him around as he visits different establishments and homes, always helping out in any way he can. At the end of the day, he reunites with Malika, and the two walk home together, clearly happy. Lady realizes Dariel is an upstanding mayor who finds true joy in seeing his citizens smile. Later that night, she admits to Sadom that Dariel has convinced himself this is where he belongs, and nothing they do will change his mind. That evening, Lady goes to a cliff to think, when Dariel joins her. She asks him about the technique he used to block her sky rend attack, because that's the exact same skill someone she knows possesses. Dariel casually replies that he figured it out mid-fight. Lady is shocked what he used wasn't just her technique. It was a sky rend on a level far beyond hers. It was a legendary skill once used by the previous hero, a Lancel, so powerful. In fact, it had its own name, the Fearsome Emperor's Sky Rend. That was the exact skill Dariel used during their fight. She can't believe Dariel pulled it off without even knowing what it was. He honestly never realized it was such an impressive skill. After all, as soon as the battle began, a Lancel would fire those attacks off like they were nothing. Lady suddenly lashes out, telling him he's wasting his potential if he doesn't fight. Dariel dodges and calmly says that if neither side attacks, then peace would reign. Lady pushes back, saying she promised the Lancel on his deathbed that she'd wipe out the demon army. That's why she needs Dariel's help. But Dariel refuses again. He tells her about the time in the Mithil mine where he fought some of the demon soldiers. Even when Jay had the chance to, the soldiers hesitated to kill the knockers, who are non-combatants, and in order to regain the trust of the humans, they sent in Rizett, a whole member of the demon corps. He says all he wants is to protect his family, and with family on both sides, he can't fight. Lady eventually calms down and admits Dariel is right. Her heart was just too weak to see it before. She then asks him to be her trainer instead, so she can grow stronger mentally and physically. He also figures being close to a hero could give him an opportunity to stop the war entirely. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, Doroi is in distress. She's been searching everywhere for Dariel but can't find him. Doroi was the only general who was ever genuinely kind to him. Back in the village, Dariel and Rizett walk into the house, only to see Zebian sitting casually in a tree, relieved that she's finally found him. Inside the house, Dariel and Rizett are casually chatting when Zebian suddenly barges in, startling them both. She plops down and literally uses Rizett as a chair, scolding him for hiding Dariel's whereabouts, even though she knew he was covering for him. Just then, Malika walks in, seeing Dariel has guests. She politely offers to grab some refreshments, but then she overhears Zebian casually calling Dariel an incompetent loser. That's the last straw. Malika flicks a bottle cap with such force it pierces the wall. Zebian freezes, shuddering at the realization that Malika is not to be trifled with. Once things calm down, Dariel asks if she really came all this way just to find him. Zebian denies it, claiming she's here to make inquiries about the village's mithril. She says she had to come herself because Rizett was hiding everything from her. Rizett apologizes, but Dariel assures him it's not his fault. He explains that wind magic users like Zebian can manipulate air density to hide themselves. Zebian smugly confirms that's true. Then, with no shame, she asks Dariel to hand over all the mithril. Dariel refuses, saying the mithril is too valuable to the village. They worked too hard to protect it. Zebian takes offense, glaring at him, but Malika backs Dariel up with an even scarier glare that sends chills down Zebian's spine. They head outside to settle things with a fight. Zebian attacks first, but Dariel easily predicts her moves and holds his sword to her throat, demanding her surrender. Zebian brushes it off, claiming it doesn't count, and keeps demanding rematches. Each time, Dariel wins. Frustrated, Zebian floats into the sky, preparing her geostorm technique to wipe out the village in order to find the mithril stash. Dariel counters with his sky rend, swallowing up her storm entirely. Zebian plummets toward the ground, but Dariel rushes in and catches her just in time. Unfortunately, in the process, he accidentally strips off her underwear. Horrified, Zebian bursts into tears, threatening to tell Malika. Dariel panics and apologizes, offering to sell her some mithril as compensation. She accepts the deal and also agrees to keep his presence in the village a secret. She even requests a weapon like Dariel's sword. But since Smith, the smith who made it, is dead, Dariel tells her it's impossible. Instead, he takes her to Sakai, instructing him to forge a sword as close as possible to the Hermes blade. But just then, Dariel's eyes widen. Lady and her party are about to return. He knows a run in between them and Zebian would spell disaster, so he tells Sakai to stall Zebian with her order, while he rushes to delay the hero party. Dariel rushes over to the hero party as they arrive and does his best to stall them by giving Lady the task of doing 1,000 sword strike as training. Lady is very eager to get stronger, so he does it with no complaints. But even after all Dariel's attempts at stalling, his plan backfires spectacularly. Lady ends up walking straight into the sauna where Zebian is already relaxing. Hearing both their voices together, Dariel panics and rushes in without thinking, only to grab a handful of both women's chests at once. Both immediately slap him so hard his face swells. That evening, Dariel sits bruised and battered across from Lady and Zebian during dinner. Lady is about to spill the beans of what happened in the sauna, but Zebian saves it, asking Dariel who invited Lady to the village anyway. Lady asks Dariel to do something about Zebian's rudeness, but Dariel just sits there. Seeing this, she can't help but question why Dariel is being so casual with a demon general. Realizing he can't hide it anymore, Dariel comes clean. He's a human who grew up among demons. Lady is stunned, though Malika isn't. Dariel told her everything before they got married, and she never minded. Back then, she just held his hand, telling him that his past won't change the bearing of love she has for him. Zebian is kinda shocked hearing that Dariel was a human all along, but now that she thinks about it, it makes back then he was really weak and couldn't use magic. Lady accepts Dariel's past, but points out there's no real reason for Zebian to be hanging around. The air gets tense, and just as things start heating up, Malika slams her cooking pot on the table. She suggests they settle their differences with a duel. Dariel agrees, but only on the condition they promise not to kill each other. The duel day arrives, Lady and Zebian unleash their attacks, and from the looks of it, they're evenly matched. They both fire off their signature techniques, still clashing blow for blow. Sodom provides a barrier to shield the spectators, but she begins to falter under the strain. Dariel steps in, reinforcing the barrier. Sodom is shocked he can make barriers too. Dariel says he just copied her technique on the spot. Meanwhile, Baby Gran gets a little too excited staring at Lady's and Zebian's chests. He wriggles free from Malika's arms and nearly gets crushed by a falling landslide. Dariel rushes in, scooping Gran to safety at the last second. Zebian then wipes out the debris with her storm barrier. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, laughing at how reckless the baby is. Zebian and Lady, who moments ago were fighting fiercely, admit they had fun and even begin to get along. Watching them smile together, Dariel feels a spark of hope. Maybe humans and demons really can coexist peacefully after all. The next day, Sesha grabs Dariel's attention and points out that the old hero, Alancel, has arrived in their village. Dariel is immediately on edge. He's always known Alancel as a ruthless war machine who slaughtered anything that moved. So when some kids run up to greet him, Dariel panics, thinking they're about to get wiped out. But to his surprise, Alancel turns out to be a chill, friendly guy, nothing like the terrifying rumors. Alancel is such a respected hero that the entire village lines up just to meet him. When Dariel introduces Alancel to Zebian, he quietly warns her that Alancel only acts nice to humans. If he finds out she's a demon, she's roast beef, since Alancel is sharp at sensing magic. Dariel tells her not to use any magic while he's around. She agrees reluctantly. Not long after, Dariel and Alancel sit down to chat. Alancel says he came because he heard Lady was giving Dariel trouble. On top of that, he doesn't want her training to fall behind, so he announces that she'll be training under him again. Lady overhears and practically explodes with excitement. Dariel thinks this is perfect. While Lady's training distracts Alancel, it'll give Zebian a chance to slip away unnoticed. But then Alancel suddenly stiffens. He says he's been sensing a strange presence since arriving. Dariel immediately panics, thinking the secret's out, but Alancel just squints at a goofy boy nearby. Dariel sighs in relief and explains that's Gashida, the village's strongest adventurer, though looks can be deceiving. About an hour later, everyone gathers at the training grounds to watch Alancel spar with Lady. The match begins, and Alancel effortlessly dodges her attacks, while casually signing autographs for his fans. Then he snatches her sword mid-swing, flips her to the ground, and wins instantly. Still, he notes that Lady's swordsmanship has improved a lot. Curious, he asks who her teacher is. The moment he hears it was Dariel, he immediately challenges Dariel to a duel. He needs to test this supposed strength for himself. Dariel flat out refuses, saying he's retired, but with Gashida egging him on, he eventually agrees. When he steps into the ring and faces Alancel, Dariel feels the crushing pressure of his aura and chickens out, making the excuse that they shouldn't spar on an empty stomach. Instead, they all head out to the field for a picnic. As they eat, Alancel gets a little emotional. It's been ages since he's had a homemade lunch prepared for him. Meanwhile, back at the house, Zebian starts slacking off and forgets that she's not supposed to use magic. The moment she does, Alancel senses her demonic aura and his whole demeanor darkens. He hurls his staff across the village, pinning Zebian to the wall. Slowly, he approaches, ready to kill her. But before he can strike, Dariel jumps in and blocks his attack. Dariel declares he won't allow bloodshed in his village, not even if the target is a demon. Alancel glares, realizing this means he'll have to fight Dariel. The two clash. Dariel manages to hold his own, but Alancel keeps up relentless offense, forcing him onto defense. After a while, Alancel is shocked to discover Dariel possesses all 4 aura attributes just like him. He urges Dariel not to waste this gift, insisting he join him on a mission to wipe out the demon army. But Dariel refuses. Infuriated, Alancel unleashes his devastating Emperor's Sky Rend. Dariel counters with the same move, and the two attacks collide in a massive explosion. Alancel's power ultimately overwhelms him, leaving Dariel battered on the ground. Still, Dariel manages to speak, saying he understands Alancel's pain over losing his wife and children to the demons, but slaughtering every demon alive won't bring them back. Alancel demands to know why Dariel is so protective of demons. That's when Dariel finally admits that he was raised by them. Alancel gasps in disbelief. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, Bashbarza goes to the Demon King with a request. The king now appears in a terrifying beast form instead of his usual human one, leaving Bashbarza a bit unnerved. Still, he pushes forward, demanding that his son Bashbarza be fired from his post. He argues that since Bashbarza took charge, he's done nothing but screw up. But the Demon King sees through it. He knows Bashbarza is just bitter that Bashbarza fired Dariel. He asks why Bashbarza would favor Dariel, an outsider, over his own flesh and blood. That's when Bashbarza begins telling the story of how he found baby Dariel abandoned in the forest and chose to raise him as his own. The Demon King, touched, reveals that Dariel is currently living peacefully in Luck's village. However, he doubts Dariel would ever return now that he's settled. Back in the village, Dariel shares the same story with Alancel, explaining how Bashbarza adopted him. Alancel is stunned. Slowly, he walks over and embraces Dariel, then drops the ultimate bombshell: Dariel is his son. Dariel is floored. To explain, Alancel says that 33 years ago, his wife was killed by Bezetan, one of the demon generals. He assumed his son died as well. But after hearing Dariel's story and seeing that he has all 4 aura abilities, he's certain that Dariel is his long-lost child. Dariel is left speechless as he realizes that the legendary hero Alancel is his real father. Just then, Alancel suddenly senses a demonic aura approaching. Without hesitation, he launches a massive fireball. Bashbarza emerges, blocking the attack. He descends calmly and approaches Dariel, telling him how much stronger he's become. Right after that, Bashbarza and Alancel suddenly remember their sworn enemies and look ready to throw down. But Dariel quickly steps in between them, stopping the fight. He tells Alancel that since he's just found out he's his father, he's still confused and deserves to hear Bashbarza's side of the story. Bashbarza takes a deep breath and admits he realized a long time ago that Alancel was Dariel's real father. Ever since Dariel was little, it troubled him that Dariel couldn't use magic. That led him to suspect Dariel might be human. Even so, he never had the heart to let him go. Bashbarza apologizes for the whole mess, but Dariel shakes his head and he says he should be the one thanking Bashbarza. Even though he wasn't born to him, Bashbarza never once made him feel like he was lacking. He gave him a family and a home, and Dariel owes him a lot. Bashbarza smiles and replies that he's the one who should be grateful, because Dariel was the reason he became such a successful general in the first place. The two share a heartfelt hug, but Alancel is furious at the sight. He growls that Bashbarza stole away all the precious years he was supposed to have with his son. He's been holding on to that resentment all this time. Bashbarza calmly steps forward and admits that what Zebian did was unforgivable. But instead of carrying all that hatred, Alancel could just take it out on him directly. He even adds that while he originally thought about taking Dariel back to the Demon Kingdom, after seeing how things are, he believes it would be better if Dariel spent his time with his real father instead. Even with those words, the tension between the two is still sky high, and they're about to clash again, when suddenly Malika storms in and dumps a whole bucket of water on both of them. She scolds them, saying they shouldn't be showing such ugliness in front of their grandson. Both men freeze, confused at the word. That's when Malika explains that she and Dariel's son, Gran, makes both of them his grandfathers. Dariel smirks as inspiration hits him. He tells Alancel that while it's too late for him to relive his childhood, he can still make up for lost time by being a grandfather to Gran. Alancel softens and agrees. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, Bashbarza walks into what's supposed to be his general promotion party, only to find the hall completely empty. He laughs it off, thinking everyone's just late, but a servant informs him that nobody came. The truth is, no one supports him because of his constant incompetence. The servant even adds that his own father petitioned for his dismissal. Bashbarza is stunned. He demands to know what he could have done differently. The servant replies bluntly, saying that things would have gone fine if only Dariel were still here. Every mention of Dariel's name stings, making Bashbarza feel even more useless. He slumps into a chair, frustrated, and orders alcohol from the chef, but the chef refuses, saying Bashbarza hasn't paid any of his bills. He adds that this was never a problem back when Dariel managed things. Hearing Dariel's name again pushes Bashbarza over the edge. He erupts in rage and burns the entire restaurant to the ground, walking away with a cold, bitter expression. He vows to prove everyone wrong. Back in Lux Village, Bashbarza and Alancel are busy bonding with little Gran, but Alancel can't stand that the boy was named after Bashbarza. He suggests renaming him Bashbarza to make things fair, but Dariel immediately shuts it down, saying it just sounds dumb. As the night goes on, Dariel can't help but feel weird. He now technically has 3 dads, Gilmas, Bashbarza, and Alancel. It's going to take some time to get used to. Still, the 3 men spend the evening drinking and laughing together. By the end of the night, Alancel realizes that Bashbarza is actually a pretty chill guy. He extends his hand and offers a truce, accepting Bashbarza as one of Gran's grandfathers. Bashbarza accepts the handshake, and the feud between them finally eases. The next morning, Lady approaches Alancel, asking to resume her training under him. He agrees, but Dariel is surprised that after everything he said before, Lady still wants to fight demons. Lady replies that it's simply a hero's duty, but Alancel explains that it goes deeper than that. The Demon King is rumored to possess the greatest wisdom and power in the world. If they can defeat him, humans could finally gain the ability to use magic. That's why the Central Guild is determined to bring him down. Just then, a loud knock echoes at the door. Dariel opens it to find Fitbidin panting heavily. He announces that a monster is attacking the mithril mine. Without hesitation, Zebian uses her wind magic to fly them to the site. When they arrive, they see a massive fire dragon rampaging, torching everything in sight. The miners had managed to escape, but the knockers were still trapped inside. Without thinking, Dariel charges straight toward the mine, determined to rescue them before it's too late. Dariel rushes into the mine, but Alancel runs right behind him, saying there's no way he's letting his long-lost son go in there alone. Meanwhile, Lady and her party are already trying to fight the dragon beast, but their weapons do nothing. Lady even uses her special technique, but it barely leaves a scratch. Bashbarza then steps up. Recognizing the creature, it's the magic flame beast, Salamandra. He charges up his energy, ready to fight. At the same time, Dariel and Alancel finally reach the knockers and manage to save them. The knockers are overjoyed to see Dariel again, but before they can celebrate, the Salamandra suddenly appears in front of them. Dariel and Alancel exchange a look and, in unison, unleash their combined sky rend on the beast. To their surprise, it actually works. works, weakening the salamandra enough to send it crashing to the ground. Dariel stands tall before the monster as it roars at him, but he doesn't flinch. He refuses to back down. And then of a sudden, Salamandra calms down, pauses, and simply flies away. This confused Dariel and everyone else. Zebian points out that she sensed hatred from Salamandra. Dariel, however, says it gave him a strange sense of nostalgia. After this, Bashbarza announces he's returning to the Demon Kingdom to investigate. He grabs Zebian and flies off with her. The knockers are safe, but Dariel is frustrated about losing the mine. Alancel puts a hand on his shoulder, reminding him he can't save everything. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, Bashbarza confronts Bashbarza, demanding to know if he was behind the Salamandra's attack. To his horror, he sees Bashbarza's left eye glowing red, proof that he's entered the Room of Secrets. Zebian has no clue what this room is, so Bashbarza explains. It's a hidden chamber beneath the castle where ancient forbidden spells are sealed. One of them allows demons to control magical beasts. That's how he assumed Salamandra was under Bashbarza's command. Bashbarza scolds him, calling him a complete failure. Unlike Dariel, who proved himself even without magic, Bashbarza was born with talent and is now wasting it. This enrages Bashbarza. He fires back, accusing Bashbarza of being a hypocrite, since he used the eyes of the beast to spy on him cozying up with the heroes. This proves Bashbarza has indeed used the forbidden magic. Bashbarza warns him that the beast's power will consume his mind and body until nothing of him is left. Their shouting match escalates, and Bashbarza launches a fire attack. But Bashbarza summons the Salamandra and flies away before it hits. Back in the mine, Dariel encounters another beast, the Earth Giant, Giganto. Giganto blames him for his burns, caused by Salamandra. Dariel apologizes, saying he had no choice, and Giganto demands to see the result of all the mithril mining. Dariel shows him the finished blade. Giganto studies it, impressed, saying it must have been made by a master craftsman. Pleased, he rewards Dariel by strengthening the sword and removing its weaknesses. Before leaving, Giganto warns Dariel that Lux Village is about to become a battlefield. Dariel is shaken, not knowing what that means. Then he gets a call from Bashbarza, who confirms the Salamandra is under Bashbarza's control. Dariel immediately returns to the village to organize an evacuation. Before leaving, he promises Malika he'll come back home safely. Malika slips a protective ring onto his finger, smiling bravely as she and Gran send him off. Soon after, Dariel and his party march into the forest. Bashbarza descends on Salamandra with a smug grin. He floats a massive fireball above them, lighting the dark forest. Alancel stiffens the spell is dangerous, capable of consuming the caster's life. Bashbarza notices Dariel's ring and assumes he's married. He smirks cruelly, saying he'll kill Dariel's wife first, then wipe out his entire village. That threat pushes Dariel over the edge. He snaps into battle mode, draws his whip, and drags the Salamandra to the ground by its leg, and the fight begins. At first, Dariel and Bashbarza seem evenly matched, but soon, it's clear Dariel is being overpowered. Bashbarza mocks him, saying this isn't about resentment, it's about cleaning up his failures. After killing Dariel, he'll destroy the heroes, wipe out humanity, and go down as the greatest demon general in history. This is all so that he finally won't be seen as a failure by his dad. He unleashes a flurry of attacks, battering Dariel into a stone wall. Dariel, bleeding and exhausted, admits he's not surprised since Bashbarza was always a gifted magician, and he's clearly grown even stronger. Bashbarza then lands in front of him, boasting that he spent the past years scouring the hexes in the Room of Secrets until he mastered a forbidden skill. He even traveled the world until he bent Salamandra to his will. Dariel, despite his injuries, smiles. He tells Bashbarza he must have worked really hard for that, and he's genuinely proud of him. But Bashbarza doesn't care. He charges up a devastating point-blank attack. Dariel, thinking of his family and his village, summons everything he has into an amplified sky wren to block it. The collision explodes into a storm of smoke and fire. As the dust clears, Bashbarza's voice cuts through the haze. He smirks, saying he never thought he'd have to use his true form against the likes of Dariel. While Dariel and Bashbarza clash, Salamandra is still rampaging. Luckily, the others manage to keep it under control. In a surprising twist, Alancel and Bashbarza team up, forming the first ever human-demon alliance. Together, Together, they unleash their combined strength and subdue Salamandra in record time. But for Dariel, things are only getting worse. Bashbarza, corrupted by the hexes, has transformed into a half-magical beast. The two trade furious blows, neither gaining the upper hand. Dariel tries to reason with him, urging him to end this madness, but Bashbarza refuses, still determined to prove himself. With a roar, he unleashes his Searing Screams technique, creating a massive fireball that floats high above. Dariel knows it will only bring disaster, so he resolves to finish this now. He draws the Hermes blade, awakening a new technique that cloaks it in divine light. The brilliance stuns Bashbarza. He never imagined Dariel would wield such power. Dariel slashes with it, triggering a massive explosion that engulfs everything in smoke. Dariel feels certain that attack was enough to finish him, but when the smoke clears, it's only made things worse. The hexification speeds up, and Bashbarza transforms fully into a magical beast. He grabs Dariel, tossing him around like a ragdoll. During their clash, their blades lock, and Bashbarza's synchronization magic activates by accident. Suddenly, Dariel can see into his brother's deepest memories. He sees a young Bashbarza happy, always at his father's side. But everything changed the day Dariel appeared. From then on, Grandbarza always seemed to choose Dariel, leaving Bashbarza feeling abandoned, like discarded trash. Dariel finally understands that Bashbarza's hatred comes from loneliness and jealousy. He's just a broken boy with deep-seated daddy issues. And then it hits Dariel. If the synchronization magic is active, Bashbarza can also hear his thoughts, so he speaks directly to him. Dariel tells Bashbarza that their father was always worried about him. To prove it, he opens his own memories. He shows how, as a child, he always felt like an outsider because he couldn't use magic. The least he could do was avoid troubling Grandbarza. But then, meeting Bashbarza gave him hope. Dariel thought he had finally found a brother to lean on, someone to fight alongside. Even if we're not related by blood, Dariel says, I always loved you as my brother. Bashbarza is stunned. If only he had taken Dariel's hand when they were children. Would things have turned out differently? Moved by this, the beastly corruption crumbles away, and Bashbarza returns to normal. Dariel offers him a hand, and for the first time, Bashbarza reaches out. But before he can accept, pain racks his body. The Salamandra revives, its body absorbing the fireball created earlier by Bashbarza's annihilation magic. Realizing the danger, Bashbarza acts. He casts the forbidden fusion hex, merging with Salamandra. He knows it will only grant him control for a short time before the beast devours him completely, costing his life. He soars into the sky on Salamandra, ready to sacrifice himself. At least, he reconciled with Dariel, but Grandbarza isn't about to let his son die. He bursts in, using powerful magic to rip Bashbarza free of the Salamandra's body. At that moment, Dariel descends from above and delivers the final decisive blow to Salamandra. Grandbarza immediately grabs his son in a tight hug, calling him a huge idiot. Back at Lux Village, Malika prepares a massive welcome feast. Hearing Dariel's group return, she rushes outside, ready to slam him with one of her trademark sumo hugs. But this time, she surprises him with just a soft and normal hug, leaving Dariel with a face full of her chest. Meanwhile, Bashbarza appears before the Demon King to atone for his sins. He declares he'll accept any punishment. The Demon King offers him a choice: return as one of the 4 generals or be sent to hell. Bashbarza humbly thanks him, but says he deserves hell for his unforgivable actions. The Demon King chuckles, saying he hasn't sent anyone to hell in years. Instead, he banishes Bashbarza from the Demon Kingdom, just like he once did with Dariel. So Bashbarza travels to Lux Village, seeking forgiveness. He apologizes sincerely for all the destruction he caused. To his surprise, everyone forgives him. Not long after, Gran wakes up. Dariel gently places the baby in Bashbarza's arms, introducing him, saying, "This is your big brother." Malika and the others are stunned when Gran suddenly speaks his first words, "Big brother Bashbarza." From that day on, Bashbarza is welcomed as part of the family. He even gets his own spot in the family mural. Dariel smiles, declaring this a historic day. The day Gran spoke his first words, and the day their family was finally reunited. This was the end. Subscribe to not miss more recaps and watch the next video on screen.